Antanil Tulian Meldanin, and thank you once again for joining me. My name is Lord Aramil, and today we will be talking about building characters, both in a D&D sense and in more of a Dagorhir LARP sense.
You're a LARP.
Peanut gallery provided by my lovely assistant Ashenra, as per usual.
You're a LARP.
Indeed. Just remember that we are, in fact, always LARPing because the identity is a fictional construct, and I need more Dr. Pepper.
Can you talk straight? And which way's up?
That way is up, I think. Maybe more that way. Think about it.
Relative.
That's the point. Just wanted to very briefly talk about channel news for like a minute. We ran into some issue with the To the Moon series. Apparently my streaming... the idea was that we would stream it to Facebook, get people, watching that, and then take the best bits and put together videos for YouTube. Unfortunately, apparently my stream is garbage. According to Ashenra, at least. I haven't quite looked at it yet. So, if it's as bad as he says it is, that series might be postponed for the foreseeable future. That being said, we will be continuing the Let's Build Nardu Hall series. I've got one episode that's mostly ready, and I should be finishing that up within the next day or so.
It's okay. We also quickly realized that we're not rocket scientists.
We are not rocket scientists. It's very difficult to go to the moon, and I'm drowning in multi-block structures. Advanced rocketry is one hell of a mod.
I mean, just even Buildcraft is nuts.
Yeah. Getting them all to play nicely together. That's weird, too. Regardless, that's not the focus of today's podcast. So, the focus of today's podcast, however, is building characters. So we're going to start... I guess we'll start with D&D. We've already talked a little bit about this, so I won't spend a huge amount of time on it. Building a D&D character, we're talking about the roleplay aspect of all of this. I'm not going to talk about what is and is not an effective character build. Mainly because that's highly circumstantial and will change drastically based off of edition that you're in. I might say an appropriate fighter build, even. Go very basic. And that means nothing to somebody who's playing 5th edition, so I'm not going to worry about it.
I have 5th ed.
We prefer 3.5 in this household. However, because I'm the DM, I have decided...
What? Never mind.
We're talking about the role-playing side of things. So, any character can be interesting. It can be the most baseline human fighter and still be interesting. It's all based on how you play it. You can have a half-minotaur war mage barbarian.
Useful does not make every character fun.
And they can still be bland as shit. Alright? If the only things you do around the table are roll to hit and roll to damage, then you are not doing a... You're not role playing. You're using the wrong term of role. We'll say that much. ROLE is what we're looking for today, as opposed to ROLL.
Quit trying to Florentine and pick up that shield, bitch. Get it? Because 2 sticks and these kind of like a shield. Never mind.
If that joke fell flat, just wait. We've got more.
My choice.
Now.
So I'm downloading Monkeys again.
Oh, good job. Oh, that Monkeys.
Actually, updating it.
Updating. Oh, fun.
And I'm looking for a controller.
Yes. So, a good character starts with the heart. By that I mean your character has to have a heart. Give it some goal. All right. A goal is a good starting point. Okay. This is both for two goals. An out of character goal and an in character goal. Okay. The out of character goal can be simple. All right. We need a tank. All right. That can be a goal. Just the party needs somebody who can block and deal with damage. And there's a whole plethora of things that can do that. You could be half-orc barbarian. They're tanky. Dwarven fighter. Also quite tanky. Paladins. And then there's the plethora of additional builds. Hell, you can play a tanky wizard if you do it carefully and well enough. Basically, any abjurations. Abjuration? Yeah, abjuration specialist.
Just never play a ranger.
Never play ranger. Which is really unfortunate because rangers are cool. And
only because of Lord of the Rings.
Yes. And
your druid's a better ranger.
Yes, a fighter druid is a better ranger than a similarly leveled ranger. And that's unfortunate. Because rangers are, of course, very cool in their flavoring. However, this is where roll versus roll gets in. You can play a straight fighter who focuses on two sword style or ranged, maybe even both, and has ranks in knowledge nature. And then let's see, I have a PHB. Yeah, of course I have a PHB close at hand. So that fighter will be functionally equivalent to a ranger, except better, up until level 4, when the ranger starts getting 0 spells per day. It can be better than the ranger if, for level 6, you take a single level in druid. Mind you, you're still restricted in the kinds of weapons and armor that you can use. Nothing metal, basically, for armor. But by 6th level, you might have some alternatives, depending on the campaign setting. There could be bronze wood, or you probably shouldn't have access to dragon scale by 6th level, but you never know what your DM has planned. And there's always other very exotic monsters that you might have skinned. Now then, though, what we're focusing on... Wow. I very quickly dipped into the ROLL. Old habits. So, the second goal that you need to worry about is in-character goal. Yes. What does your character want to do? What is their motivation? Now, they can be just the edgelord rogue who just wants to collect money because money, and they grew up on the streets, and it's been a hard life. So they're going to grab all the cash that they can to make sure they never have to suffer through poverty, or hunger, or whatever was the greatest tragedy of their lives thus far. And that's fine. That's good, you know? It's a very simple motivation, very understandable, very not comparable, not empathic. Something you can connect to. whatever. So everybody can, well, most people can connect to the need to have more money for basic comfort. We're good. That's solid. Other characters might have different motivations. Uh, they might want to be remembered. Maybe their idea is that immortality is found in the stories that are told about you 1,000 years after your corporeal form has bit the dust. Solid. Let's see, a questing paladin might be on a journey to prove their devotion to their deity by slaying monsters, freeing oppressed peoples. These are good things. And a quick note on paladins is that they are lawful good. All right, they're not lawful, and they are not lawful stick in the ass. Okay, just remember that I've just seen so many paladins played in a lawful neutral manner when they're supposed to be in a lawful good manner. The good comes second, but it shouldn't. They are equal forces. And sometimes the paladin has to, personally look at this and saying, is this a good act? Is this a lawful act? And if you have to choose between the two, you look to your deity. All right? Would your deity prefer a lawful act or a good act? These are things to consider when playing a lawful good character, not just a paladin. And people who are playing lawful good characters who aren't paladins have a little bit more leeway. Also, a good note on alignments is that lawful does not mean obeys the law. Not necessarily. That might be part of it, but a lawful character follows their own code, period. That is it. They have their moral compass and they will stick to it. Now, that might include following the law, and it probably does in a lawful society. But if you are a lawful good character and you are in an area, a lawful evil settlement where slavery is perfectly normal, your character might take umbrage with that law. Even though the slavery is perfectly legal, the good, and the crazy part is that if you're playing with a morally ambitious or ambiguous DM, you could still technically play a lawful good character from that settlement who doesn't see anything wrong with it because that's just normal to them, and that's a different.
That's a different discussion.
Yeah, that's a whole different debacle. We'll get into that someday, I'm sure. But cultural relativism is it's big, and it's an important part of the human experience. So I don't want to discount that or discredit that in any way. Where are we? That's weird. My analytics have completely stopped. That's odd. Sorry, I just took a brief moment to look at the YouTube half of this. Okay, it says I've got viewers, so I'm going to keep going. That's the important part, as long as people are here and enjoying it. So, as a flip side to that, a chaotic character will not do chaotic things just for the fun of it. They won't see like a no littering sign and then immediately go and grab some trash and like scatter it around. I mean, they might, but a chaotic character just will do what benefits them when they want to. They won't let other things get in their way, is what it really boils down to. The quintessential chaotic good character is Robin Hood. He didn't care that, robbing from the rich is a illegal act. He saw it as a necessary act to perform good. He wasn't made of money, depending on which version of Robin Hood you're going from. He was either disgraced nobility or just a bandit. So he robbed from, the rich, gave to the poor. Everybody knows that much. And there's even some... You could make the argument that he is either a lawful or at least neutral good character as well. Because he has, in most stories, his own moral code, which he follows quite strictly. You don't steal from these people, you only steal from these people. And there's nuance. In all things, there is some form of nuance, and that's good. D&D and gaming in generally is very black and white. And to an extent, that's a welcome relief. But just sometimes you need a little bit of gray to add to the color palette, A little bit of nuance goes a long way. But that's more of a world building thing than anything else. So we're going to keep going. Now, this will be different in different editions of D&D, but one of the ways I like to differentiate characters is through skills. Now, like I said, that'll change based on, your edition. Obviously, you won't have a ton of skill points in 5th ed, but you could choose, backgrounds. Backgrounds are a really good flavor addition. But in 3.5, while you can also go through and find backgrounds, and they're good, and you should, I like to use skill points. So we'll take this guy here, who I've kind of flavored up to be kind of a samurai without actually taking the samurai class. My DM is allowing the Tome of Battle, Book of 9 Swords. So
he's talking about not wanting to play role characters.
Exactly. And so I take a role character and give it ROLE. So I've got 5 levels of sword stage and 2 levels of fighter. He's a tanky dude. He'll throw out damage. It's all good. So, for flavor, I give him a katana. And for a craft, he has calligraphy. That's cool. It's different. It's not something that will likely come up. It's not going to influence any of my battles, that's for sure. But it gives my character something to do. Like, that's really one thing, is what does your character do for fun? What relaxes your character? You can always say, he or she will go to the closest bar and drink themselves under the table. And I guess that is flavor. That's definitely something your character can do. Don't get me wrong. But it also is... Yeah, boring. It's generic, and your character might have a problem. Even if your DM isn't so mean as to impose the reality that are hangovers, it's just kind of whatever. Because the amount of taverns, bars, and inns in D&D Yeah, one of the few infinities. Yes. What does your character do outside of drinking? What did your character do before they took up adventuring? What did they do? What do they plan to do after adventuring? Because most people don't expect to spend their entire lives, even at any job, um, well, in our modern sense. And adventures are one of the few careers where you can do it for a few years and then probably retire. Like, unless you're one of the extremely long lived races, a few years of adventuring will probably set you up for life. And that might be one of the reasons why your character went this path. It's like, well, I can farm for 50 years, or I can risk my neck for 2 years while I'm young and be pretty well set. Unless you drink yourself under the table every night and hemorrhage gold like that. So your character might think of buying a business. Maybe they want to own a tavern. When the amount of retired adventurers who own taverns is another infinite. I've seen, I think it was DMG2 or PHB2 that had rules for creating and setting up and maintaining a business. And yeah, that's cool. It really gives a nice framework for all of that. But also, so character goals are a multitude. You can have different steps of goals, different goals that you want to achieve at different times, and that's important. Let's see. One, two. There's also the idea of prestige classes, which are very, very good for helping to flesh out those kinds of goals. A fighter going for Kensei is going to be very different than a fighter going for what's a swashbuckler. Or no, it's not. No, swashbuckler is the base class, but you get the idea. There's a swashbuckling prestige class. I'm pretty sure in the DMG. Dr. Pepper. Now, though, we will switch focus over to the LARP / Dagorhir side of things. Now, this will be, once again, subjective, and none of this is meant to be a definitive guide to building a character. I want to say that I started that out. This is for, what's a good way to put it? Supplemental purposes. Alright? Now, you could take this video and you can make a character, or you can make a DAG character, or a LARP character, or whatever. But I'm going to suggest that this be one of your many resources when considering all of these things. Cool. With that disclaimer out of the way. I feel that DAG and LARP characters need to be a little bit better designed than D&D characters. At least partially. For in a few specific ways, at the very least. Because you are taking on that role, and you will, in some way, shape, or form, reflect and be reflected by it. Okay? People will know you solely through this role. D&D character is fun, and it's good, and you might in some way identify or be identified with that character, especially if you are new to a group, or maybe it's even a random group at, I don't know, a gaming store or something like that, that you just come in and you only play D&D with these people. I assume that happens. It doesn't happen to me, so I play D&D with pretty much, while a wide roster of people, pretty consistent one also. So
Also, if you play a singular role continuously over the course of multiple campaigns, adventures, and groups.
That's true. Yeah, if you keep playing a cleric, you will eventually be kind of lumped into the cleric role in D&D.
And the archetype.
Yeah, and the archetypes that you reflect.
Yeah, you freaking out.
Regardless, though. Yeah, I played a dwarf for like 6 years, so screw you.
Healer the whole time.
Calm down, buddy.
No. Alright. But, except in those situations, I feel that a Dagorhir character will reflect more on you and identify you more. So, you need to really think about it. You need to give it some thought. Now, at least in Dagorhir, your character does not have to be very fleshed out. You need a name, and you need to wear funny clothes. And that's pretty much it. That's all you need. All you need in Dag. However, I find that incredibly boring. And honestly, I have found that people who really go into and explore a character, a role in Dag, tend to stick with it longer. Not to say that people who don't will automatically filter out after a bit, but that's just the trend. Now, I have met plenty of people who have their name, have their funny clothes, and that's it. They call, they're referred to as stick jocks, because all they do is, they've got their name, they've got their wappy bat, and they go at it and call it. Good. What are you doing?
Louis chasing me down.
Well, bring him here. Bring him to
He
me.
was aggressively rolling towards Justin's ankles. It was adorable.
Amazing. Yes, perfect. Bring me the baby. Perfect. Oh, you've got your claws out. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I didn't catch him.
Hello, baby. Ha ha ha. The promise of a fur baby in every video continues. He is not a happy fur baby, are you?
Also, I'd say that it goes beyond just how much of an archetype or role you want to fit in with the overall Dagorhir community as a whole, but rather also finding a niche that you find particularly appropriate or pleasant within your own group, and then figure out how you're going to kind of push that forward into the space of the overall community at large.
Ricket joining in the peanut gallery. And appreciate it. That's
For a second.
for just a moment as he passes through. So there's that. Finding out what your group's idea is. That's very important, obviously. You don't want to be playing an elf and try to join Rome. That's kind of odd. You don't want to be a Roman legionnaire and trying to join the Urukai. There are a few units don't care. My unit, Nardu, it's fine. We basically take all comers. We prefer, or I prefer, I should say, most importantly, some sort of Lord of the Rings inspiration. Beyond that is pretty open-ended, and we've even got our own canonical reason why we have people who are not normally found in Lord of the Rings. And it's It's okay. It wouldn't fit in to Tolkien's views, but that's all right. It doesn't have to. So, to build a character, you need a name first and foremost. So, and the name should you need a name no matter what. Okay.
Do you?
Yes, you need a name. I mean, I'm sure there's at least one person in DAG who is called the Nameless One. But that's a name in and of itself. So, whatever. We get... Names are important. They should reflect your character. And honestly, they are tricky. They are very tricky. You can go online, you can go to a fantasy generator and get, default dwarf name 3. And that's fine. But I do suggest that you guys... I do suggest a shorter name or a name that can be shortened into a nickname. Okay? This is very important. Names that are longer than 2 syllables often get shortened or mispronounced with greater frequency. I don't know how people have such difficulty with Aramil, but they do. And people will either come up with a nickname. Unfortunately, mine can't be really shortened. Era, Mill,
Kara.
or they get an awkward nickname like Caramel. And okay, fine, forget it, whatever. I am sweet and delicious. Ashenra probably get shortened at some point to Ash or Ra. Ashen, whatever.
That's at least 3 syllables, though. It's better than any names that are 4 syllables
Yeah.
longer or don't roll off the tongue very well, like Eladrin.
Yeah.
I had to change that.
Right. So, my brother began his DAG career as Eladrin, because that was his D&D character of many years at the time. But, yeah, it doesn't quite... It is long and doesn't flow quite as nicely. So, eventually he just changes it to Ricket. And Ricket is nice and easy. It's Ricket. I'm trying to remember how the phonetics flow, but that's a completely different... but it's nice, it's easy, and it definitely... And it has, in and of itself, kind of a joke or a story. Because it's after rickets, right? Which is the brittle bone disease.
So both Rick kind of being short for Richard,
Yeah.
and therefore easy to memorize if you actually know my real name, and also Rickets, because of a lot of time spent in a preference for bone locking and bone breaking techniques. So,
Right.
Rickets.
So, Ricket can break bones, because Ricket knows how to break bones. And that's... I won't say that's good. I'm gonna say that's a solid reason to make a character name thusly. If you are an elf, then you're in luck because Tolkien has a large lexicon of elven words, and you can just choose one of those. There's plenty of other languages. I'll say something about Teru now. Teru, who I've mentioned before on these streams, I think it means like fortitude, something endurance, something like that. Something like that. Mainly just because of his he just keeps coming back, and at the time he was very okay. Something fell. It just kept coming back and coming back and coming back, and I won't say he wasn't improving at the time, because he was. But he just kept getting his ass kicked and coming back for more. And he was totally cool with that. And that's important because when you're new at a thing, you're not going to be good at it. It's just how it goes.
Instant gratification.
Everybody wants instant gratification, but nobody really gets it unless you're fucking rich.
And then you just buy, really nice stuff and then get your ass kicked.
Right.
Until you can install that computer chip in your head.
I
You
know
can just
kung fu.
Download yourself an app of like. Now you die. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyways, the point is that I just admired his, attitude, his enduring. One thing also is that he never, at least outwardly, showed any sort of regret or depression or sadness about being new and about getting his ass kicked. No, he had a very enduring enthusiasm and continues to have that, and of which I'm always appreciative. Yeah, attitude is important. So, yeah, he got the name Teru. I don't remember which language it was. It might be Japanese. I don't recall.
Couldn't be.
No?
No.
Oh, okay.
Japanese has all consonants and vowels. Vowels can be by themselves. Consonants need to be paired with a vowel. The only exception to that is the of N.
Okay.
So te, you can't end with an H. So maybe if it's like T-E-I-R-U.
I think it's T-A-E-R-U? Teru? Yeah.
That would be Taeru.
Teru? Well,
Okay.
yeah, but I'm not going to say Teru. That's another thing. The ability to pronounce the name is very important.
Yeah, if no one knows how to pronounce your name just by reading it, then you have a problem, as well as if people can't easily shout your name on the battlefield.
That's the second reason.
Or actually say it in conversation.
Right.
If you can't fill those three requirements, then you have an overly complicated name that people are going to immediately turn into a nickname of some kind that you may or may not like.
Right.
And it will stick much better.
Yes. Nicknames always seem to stick better than anything else.
Unless you design your name as if it were a nickname.
Right.
Cancer.
Anyways,
Imperfect, right there, yeah.
I need to be able
That
to...
is too easy to remember.
Pogo.
Big Mac.
Big Mac. That's...
Anvil.
Anvil.
Arsenal. Armory.
Arsenal, Armory. Yeah. Both 3-syllable names. Yeah. But easily remembered. Because they're normal words. Other people like log. Solid. Very Urukai.
Gord.
Gorg. Yeah. But the key is that you need to be able to shout it on the field. If I can't quickly call out, let me think of it. Oh, that's it.
Ross.
No, I was thinking of a better one, or a worse one, I guess,
Oh.
as a bad example.
And
Rectitharius.
Ooh, that's even worse.
James, from way back when we were still in high school, remember? Yeah, his dag name was Rectitharius. You can't say that. You can't shout out, "Look out behind you, Rectitharius!" He's already dead. By the time you stop tripping over his name, he's gone and is already at the respawn. Alright?
Yeah. Watch
And
it,
that-
Ross. Need help, Mac.
Yeah, and that's
quick.
yeah. Quick, Grata, left. Ashenra, right. And it does help when you've talked to these people, once you know the name. Like, I can say Rectitharius, but that's because I remember it from back when I said it a lot. Doesn't
fall trippingly from the tongue.
Yeah, it is not honey dripping from the lips. It is definitely spitting gravel. Yes, that's some very nice metaphorical speech. So it's a lot of very interesting ways to get around these many things. Where it's not telling me. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm at 40 minutes. I'm gonna keep going. Cool. Sorry, I had to check that real quick. I don't want to go too far over my time limit. So names are important. They should reflect your character, and they should also be easy to say. Okay? A longer name is okay if it's easy to say. Anything that has an apostrophe in it should be scrutinized. I've seen some dumb names in fiction that are like 8 syllables long and have 2 apostrophes. Don't. Ever. Why would you do that? The only reason you might have that is if you have an actual name embedded in that and say, this is my, you may call me Bob. It's short for Actoraco the Bob and Jill. Aloysius Clyde von Bettelshee III, but you can call me Betty. Even better example. And that was a character from a D&D campaign.
Call back to a previous podcast.
Right. Yeah, I've already talked about Aloysius. That's enough. The player, dag name Zakel, has an apostrophe. It's Z apostrophe Kel.
2 syllables.
2 syllables. Easy enough. Works. It worked for him, especially. So, once you've got your name and a basic character concept, you want a race, for lack of a better term. Now you can go human. That's fine. You can still make it an interesting human. I don't want to say that you can't. It's just that if you stop at human and don't go any further, then you've made a boring character. So, instead, you might have... Right, you might have an interesting speech pattern. So an accent that you slip into. Cool. I think I've talked about an assassin I met my first Ragnarok, who never spoke when he was in character. He had a mask on, and I want to say he had a very sheer cloth across his eyes, maybe. So he could see out, but you couldn't see in. And never spoke. Hand signals occasionally would maybe like tap you on the shoulder to get your attention or something along those lines. But me being 18 and very confused about what was going on, mind you, this was my neighbor, effectively. So I had no idea what was going on. And eventually, he just had to break character. And it's like, okay, so here you go, kid. I'm not going to speak when I've got this shit on. And he did. He removed the mask and the veil and actually talked. So he never broke his role-playing rule. And that's good. That kind of shit, good. I play an elf, very obviously. And some of the things that I do will showcase that out. I practice archery, especially in the dag field, not so much in real life. What's a good one? Wandering around a event, I might break into some of the elven songs from Lord of the Rings. And I do know a little bit of Tolkien's Elven. Enough to say hello, goodbye, bless you, thank you. You know, little bits of conversational Elven that, spice up an encounter. good. I have a full character story and a story for my unit, which I won't go into here because that's not the purpose of this video. And I like to think that makes a reasonably, maybe if not memorable character, then a well-rounded character, yes. And you don't have to go as far in depth, but it's always nice when you do. I know a few people who take it one step further, and they aren't content with a single character. Now, this can be done in multiple ways. At least in Dagorhir, my favorite way to handle this is to introduce your character as a shape changer, a changeling, shape-changing demon, whatever it is. And through that, you can... this is especially good for like cosplayers who are already playing around with the idea of more... who already have things to... I'm sorry. Ashenra's just spinning his mill mouse button over on the side. But the shape changer is good for people who already have characters thought out and multiples of them. I'm going to use Roz as an example because Roz has a couple pretty good characters already debuted and or in preparation for debuting.
Or dead.
Or dead. Well, I'm talking about in Dag. I don't think he's killed off any of his characters. That's another thing, which I'll talk about in a moment. Hopefully. So Raziel, fuck the day star, Canesire, that's with a PH, not an F, is a shape-changing demon. So for Bardic, he reverts to his true form and gets painted up head to toe in red with little horns. And it's a very impressive thing to see, honestly. I really do enjoy it. It definitely adds something. And his normal default form, I think, is more like pirate, would you say? I think it's more of a human pirate-esque idea, which is cool. He's also working on, and I think he was going to debut it this year, a Myconid build, so a mushroom person. And he's working on a Sun Wukong-esque monkey build. So that's really cool. And these different things will behave differently. Normally he fights Florentine when he's in his human mode. But at least for the Venaran Sun Wukong, I think he's getting a quarterstaff to play with. Cool. Myconids can't speak, so I assume that he's going to, well, be silent during his Myconid transformation. Bless you. Gesundheit. Maratia. Maratia is how you say bless you in Elven. Quit dying. Godzederbless. Oh my god. Just watching Ashenra get progressively redder and die. Good, bud?
No.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Let's see. Claren also, if memory serves, was going for a shape-changer idea, though she hasn't debuted any alternate personas yet. Of course, she and Teru were brand new last fall and have kind of gotten shafted on the DAG season this year because there hasn't been one. Which is why I'm sad, but capable of doing this on Saturdays. So there's the tiniest of silver linings. Oh my god. was oof. I don't know why, but YouTube is not showing any sort of progression. Like right now, I see that there are 3 concurrent viewers, but normally it gives me a graph of people over time, but it is just not doing any of that. I'm hoping that nobody is commenting in the chat because I can't see anything. I assume also that Teru is here, but I just can't see him. I unfortunately do not see who's watching unless they mention something in chat. So, yeah, if you're out there, say hi. I can see that there are several people watching, but I guess we'll figure it out eventually. YouTube just being funky. Shocker, shocker. Let's see here. So, I guess there is. One more. Oh no. There's a bunch of comments. Oh shit. Anything pertinent? Anything I should address? Yes. Thank you, Ashraf, for being our peanut gallery. What the hell is it?
Just Jen saying suggestions for ideas for names and stuff.
Okay, that's good.
Just stuff we were talking about 20 minutes ago.
Okay. Well, that's fair. Oh, okay, so if I pop out the chat, hit enduring in Japanese. Okay, yeah. Duelist, right. Guess who favored? Let's see here. Yeah, common words, mythology, and planets are all easy to remember. Very true, Venus. Hello, Claren. Well, hello, Megara. Fancy seeing you here.
She's logged in on this account.
Nice. Oh, okay. Oh, is it? So it's Ashina. Ashina talking through Megara. Okay, whatever. So I guess I have to just pop out the stream and pop out the chat and keep it off to the side. And I will try. Oh, fucker. I'm going to keep everything rearranged appropriately. Okay, that's much better. All right. Hopefully this will keep updating and not just be stagnant now that I've done the thing. Okay. Let's see. There was something I was going to come back to in regards to Raws. Titles. I'll go to titles. Because I think that might have been part of it. This is a test. Thank you, Teru. Yes, I see the test. Cool. Now then. Titles, especially in role-playing games, mean nothing unless they represent something, or if somebody gives it to you. All right? These are the 2 main things. Now, I can call myself leader and founder of Nardu because I did that. I'm doing that. Not so much this year because there hasn't been much to do with that. But those are still titles. All right? I founded a unit, and I currently lead the unit. These are both true statements, and while they might not give me much street cred, they are things. They are things that I have done. You do not need to collect titles, but I find that it's fun. I think it's fun. So, there's that. One time, I tried to, an Urukai tried to just bull rush me over, and I just didn't. I don't think, it was a really muddy field, and we just kind of smacked together, and neither of us really moved. And as this was Wraithraven, leader of the Urkai, he just started calling me the Iron Elf. And now that's a title. It is something that someone else calls me, and I can respond to. Roz is the Nard Bard. Alright? He won Bardic, and it's kind of been the default bard for Nardu for years now. So that's one of his titles. Now, that one can be challenged and transferred if somebody beats him in a Bardic competition for that title. That's kind of one of the things that we came up with. At which time, I guess he would, his title would change to the First Nard Bard. Also cool. The Elder Nard Bard, yes. Let's see here. There are several titles in DAG which you shouldn't mess with. Anything like Sir, anything that denotes knighthood, don't mess with that. Because there are knights in Dagorhir, and a lot of them worked hard to get that title. And they take umbrage with people who abuse that title or just take that title without earning it. I'm not going to say one way or another whether knighthood is a good thing or a bad thing or what knights should or should not do. That's a completely different and very inflaming topic that No, Squire is part of that. Squire and Page. Yeah. Squire, Page, and Knight are all things. There's also Kinsman and whatever that route is. I'll be honest, I don't know the difference and don't really pay attention to it because I don't care about it and I'm not here for it. But more props to the people who do it. Like, good job, congrats. You are scary fighters for the most part, and I respect that. Cool. And I'm certain there are similar things in other games. Was it Belgarth that has warlords? Same idea. Don't call yourself a warlord if warlord is an actual title that is earned. So on and so forth. And then there's all sorts of empty titles. Like, I could call myself the Duke of Blareth, whatever. It doesn't matter because Blareth isn't a place. It doesn't exist. It is an empty title. It means nothing. But if, say, I'm part of a unit called the Blareth, and we have a position called Defender, which meant that, you are, I don't know, maybe the best sword and board. Calling myself the Defender of Blareth, that might mean something. If it means something to other people, then the title is valid, is what it really boils down to. I hope people were able to follow along with that kind of rambling example. I kind of pulled that straight out of my ass, and I apologize. Someday I will prepare materials for this in greater detail, but today is not that day. Now we are getting to about the end of the live stream, so I do hope people learned something. Maybe you've been given some ideas. Let's see, did I miss anything that my chat can quickly point out? I'm going to keep talking anyways because I know that there is a little bit of a delay. So, building your character is important, not just so that they are the most effective munchkin around the table, or the bare bones requirement to get into a LARP. It really should reflect how you want to play that character either around the table or in the LARP. If you don't want to do that, I'm not going to say you're wrong. It's just your decision, honestly. But I think it's kind of boring. And that's my opinion. As I said before, this whole thing is an opinion piece. It's to help people figure out, a way of making an interesting character. You don't. I am an interesting character. Thank you, Usher. Well, since my chat has not pointed out anything that I've missed, I think we're about good. We just topped over the 1 hour mark. So, Hamtamil Tulien Mildanin, or thank you once again for joining me, my friends. And until we meet again, farewell.